Welcome to another quick review from Ultimate DIY. Today's going to be a little different. We're going to do a review and a semi-install. My house is under full construction and has been for quite some time. And I have to finish my siding here, and I have to rip off the siding on this section and get everything reframed and redone. And in the very front, I have the same situation. All the old metal siding's coming off the house and going to be replaced with the concrete board siding. Now, the problem I have is it is open on the side of my house. The new fencing has not been installed. And so I have to worry about people coming and going. I have a lot of tools with a big tool building over here. I have to worry about those things. So what we're going to do is we are going to put in a 4-channel camera system that has its own hard drive. So I can actually monitor and keep everything here on site. And it will actually protect all of my belongings. So the other issue I have, though, is I'm not really fully ready to permanently mount the cameras. So what we are going to do is I'm going to show you the camera system, go through all of the actual parts and how it's set up. And what we're going to do is temporarily run the lines and mount them just in the spots I plan on using them, so that we can kind of get an idea of what it's going to actually do and how it's going to function. And then as I replace my siding, I will use those same spots and mount them permanently in that spot. But this way I can kind of show you how it's going to work, how it looks on the computer system in my makeshift office right now, which is also under construction. But that'll give you an idea of how to put in a security system and how it actually works. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's much simpler than what you would expect. It seems like it would be complicated. It's not too bad. So what we're going to do now is we are going to go inside and we are going to go ahead and take a look at the product itself that we're going to be installing. And I'm going to give you that breakdown of exactly how it is hooked up. And then we will go to running them temporarily so that you can actually see what it's going to look like on my monitor. So let's do that. So when you're looking for a security system, you're going to be looking for something that's going to fit your needs. Sometimes you may just want a cloud system. Sometimes you're going to want a hard drive. Sometimes you're going to want 4 cameras. You're going to want 8 cameras. You're going to want to start out with 4 and be able to expand. You've got a lot of questions that you've got to answer for yourself personally. Now, I had to do a lot of research before I settled on the Long Plus system. Now, I'm going to go over some of the basics of what you get in the system, and believe me, I'm only going to scratch the surface. There's a whole lot more to this system, so you'll want to do a little more research outside of what I give you today. But it covers pretty much all the bases for what I want. This system has a hard drive. It's got what I actually got on this one is a 2 terabyte hard drive, but it's upgradable to a 10 terabyte hard drive. Now, I like that because I keep all my footage, in-house right here. I don't have to worry about paying for a subscription. I don't have to do any of that. It's all right here. I like that. But this system is also capable of using the cloud. So you can cloud and hard drive. So you can have multiple ways of actually storing your footage or even backing up your footage. You could actually keep it on the hard drive and do partial cloud. There's just a lot of combinations here. So I do like that. This is going to be a full color 4K 8 megapixel system. And by the way, it's an 8-channel system. I ended up with 4 cameras with this one, but I can upgrade it to the full 8. But I like the 4K, I like the color. Not only is it color in daylight, it's color at night as well. They actually use, this is your camera, They use little LED lights, and they will brighten up everything and put everything in color for you if you would like to have color. So I do like that. If you don't want that and you want to just use the regular infrared black and white at night, you can do that as well. So it gives you a couple of options there. Oh, and by the way, these actually have 132 degrees of vision. So it's a very wide vision, actually a little wider than most of the competition out there. So you don't have to put up as many cameras to cover more area. Now, that is a really cool thing. It's got other things. This has a built-in microphone. So if you have one up by your front door and someone's dropping off a package or they're at the door knocking at the door, you're able to actually talk to them. And not only talk to them from inside the house, but this actually has an app that you can use that will allow you to talk to people and view your footage and all kinds of things from a smart device. Well, another really cool thing about this is it is using the new AI technology, so it will detect things like pets and people and cars. That's a really cool function as well. And speaking of actually detecting people, one thing that this does that some of the others I've seen do not do is this has flashing lights that are going to go off if it detects someone, and you can set it up with an alarm so it'll actually sound an alarm, and hopefully that'll deter people from wanting to hang around your home or your business. There's a couple of final things that were really important to me. One of them is this is a PO system, which is power over Ethernet. So what that means is I can take this camera and I can mount it, and all I have to have is one cable, which is going to be the PoE cable, which will hook in right here at the end. And I'm going to show you that in a minute, how it hooks up. But that means I do not have to run a power source out to everywhere I put these cameras. It also makes it more mobile. Like today, when we're going to go ahead and temporarily mount them, if I don't like that spot after I test it for a few weeks, it's easy for me to go up and move it over real quick until I get it exactly where I want. And then I'll drill my permanent holes and use the anchors and stuff that they give you. And we'll go over that in a minute as well. But the PoE is very important, the power over Ethernet. So I don't have to run electrical wires everywhere. That saves me an awful lot of money and an awful lot of time. And on top of everything else, guys, there was one other thing I needed to mention that I just remembered. Not only is this 132 degrees of vision, but it actually picks up to 100 feet away. So it's a very wide area that this is going to pick up. Now, the very final thing that I said that was really important to me is going to be plug and play. Now, this is truly plug and play. The only thing that may take you a few minutes is downloading an app if you want to watch it on your phone or access it from your phone or smart device. But as far as plugging this in, I'm going to show you how you hook it up, but it is so incredibly easy. I mean, there is nothing else to download. You plug it in, hook your monitor up to it, hit the power button, and there you go. It's right there. When you start, you're going to pick language, password. It's going to ask you for like an email and things like that. It'll ask you for a question so that if you get locked out of it, you can answer a question and it will automatically let you back in. So, but it's very simple. It's maybe 5 or 6 screens. You're up, you're running, and you're able to rock and roll. You don't even have to have a computer to make this work because all you need is a monitor. So you could set this somewhere in your house in a utility room, have the hard drive setting there, have it hooked up to a monitor, and you're good to go. Now, for some of the other functions, you are going to want the Cat 6, your Ethernet hooked up to it so that you can view from a mobile device and things like that, or you can access a cloud. But the base system itself is extremely quick. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go through and let you know exactly what you're going to get in this kit, and then I'm going to show you how you put it together. So let's do that. Everything on the table is going to be inside of this box. You're going to open it up and you have 2 smaller boxes inside, and one of them is going to have all your cameras and cables, and the other one is going to have the hard drive. And this hard drive looks kind of like a little mini VCR. if you're familiar with the old VCRs or DVDs, or it's just a small cabinet. Now it has connections all on the back, and it has some indicator lights with another connection on the front. We'll go over that when we mock hook it up here in a second so you can see how to actually put this thing together. The next thing you're going to notice is you're going to have 4 bundles of cable. These are the PoE cable, not a Cat 6. The reason I'm telling you that is these are going to be 60 foot. They're marked on here, 60. If you happen to be going to a far corner of the house and the 60 does not quite make it, you're going to need to probably get a longer cable, and you do not want to go get a Cat 6. It's not going to work because you're not going to have that power in the Cat 6, so the camera will not operate. So be sure that you pay attention to that if you have to get a longer cable. So you have 4 of those, 1 for each camera. The next thing I'm going to point out is the cameras, and you're going to notice these cameras, I have not pulled the protective plastic off. Now they're going to have 2 LED lights in the very front, cameras in the center, and they have the other little flashing lights and all down underneath, which are going to go crazy if there's an intruder showing up around your property or your business. Now you have mounting hose. You have 3 up here at the top, and you have the cable coming out the back. The main one that you're going to be concerned with is this large one here, which you will hook your PoE cable to. Now, this has a place here in the back where you actually put the cable so that it'll fit flush. Now, you can mount this up underneath an eave. You can mount it directly on a wall. Mine will probably be on the walls for right now. When I get everything done and my eaves completed, they're going to go up under the eave. Now, there's something I want to point out here that's very important. When you are mounting this camera, make sure that the other flashing lights are at the bottom and that the long plus logo is actually readable. Because if you are not careful, you can install that upside down, and what happens is your picture, when you get it onto the monitor, is going to be upside down. You are going to get a power supply. They're going to go ahead and give you a little patch cable that you can use. They give you 4 stickers, one that you can put around each camera area, showing that they are under surveillance if someone comes up and they realize they're on camera. So they're realizing that they're being watched. You will also get all the anchors, including the inserts if you're trying to mount in brick or in a sheetrock. You have the screws in here. You even have the little tool to be able to adjust the camera, the little Allen head. So they pretty much think of everything there. And then you are going to get a mouse. Now this is going to be a plug-in mouse, and it works very adequate for what we are doing here. If you want and you have it a little further away, or your desk happens to be a little further away than where you actually have this unit, you can actually do a wireless mouse too, and that will work just as well. But we are going to hook this one up today and see how it does. So in a nutshell, guys, that is everything that you get in the actual kit. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to bring you in a little bit closer, and I'm going to show you basically how this thing gets put together. It is super simple. And then we're going to go ahead and run the cables, mount some cameras, hook it up to the monitor, and that way we can see what's going on and how it works. So let's do that. So the first thing I'm going to explain to you is the lights. If you look at the very front of this, you're going to have a light here for cloud. You're going to have one for hard drive. You're going to have one for net. You're going to have one for power. If you're hooked up to the internet, it's going to be coming on here. Power, if it's turned on, it's going to be here, obviously. So you'll have these 2 going. If you're writing to the hard drive or using it, this one lights. If you're writing to the cloud, this one lights. You also have a USB-A extra port in the front, which I would assume you could use that for something like a little flash drive. Now, when you rotate this, you have nothing on this side, nothing on this side. Your power button is going to be the back left upper right here. To plug it in is simply going to be the little plug in here that goes to your transformer, and you plug it in. Now, I already have the transformer powered on. I've got it going to an actual power strip so we can see what the lights and all look like in a second. But the next thing I'm going to point out to you before we get to that is your little connections here. You're going to have a USB, which is where your little mouse is going to go. So we're going to hook that up right now. just like that. And then you are going to have your HDMI out, and you are going to have the VGA out. So you have two choices to hook to the monitor, and they are right here. You can do the VGA, or you can do your HDMI, and we are going to do the HDMI. So all you would do is simply tie it right here. Let's see, I'm upside down. There we go. And you would take the other end of this and hook it to the monitor. Now I'm going to show you that in a little while when we get everything hooked up so you can see how it works. But that's the only other connection that you would be doing with this one, is directly to a monitor. Not a computer, but the monitor. And the next one over is going to be your audio out connection, if you want to have audio going out to be able to listen. And then you are going to have your internet. So I just have a patch cable here to simulate my internet right now. So we would take and you would just plug it in there, and this would go to your net. Now if you were hooking up to your computer, you may, and you only have one line coming in, you may have to have a splitter here, or what's called a switch, so that you can hook that up. Otherwise this would go direct back to your internet. Now the next cable, or cables that you would hook up, would be your PoE cables, and they're going to just slide in here, and you can pick any one of these because it does not really matter. It will come out on the screen just based on what's in here. Now that being said, we're only going to hook the one up for right now. You are going to take a camera, bring over the camera. Actually, let's bring the one that doesn't have the film on the front, which should be this one. There we go. And you look at the very end, it's pretty simple. They just slide right in with a little thumb spot right here where it's indented, and you are now in, and it should start flashing as soon as I power it on. And what I'm going to do is turn it around so you can see some of the lights in the front. They're not all going to light up because we're not hooked up to internet or cloud. But we are going to reach back here now, turn it on, and we have our floodlights coming on. Everything is setting up. Do it kind of like that. And our light, we show power right now. We don't have a hard drive light on because we're not recording now. It's doing this, showing now it's signaling there's something going on. So if this was outside and a intruder was walking by, it would start flashing like that and start recording. And it picks up that motion. So that's it. That's all there is to set it up. It's extremely quick. Now, I went ahead and hooked up to a multitude of areas so that you could kind of get an idea. I hooked up to this outbuilding and put it on the front, and I have this facing my tool trailer with my tools out, so I could be watching that. Now, if you're going to do this, or you're going to do it on the fence, like I hooked on a fence as well, so I could kind of look back towards my gate in the back, you are going to want to probably bury the PoE cable inside of conduit. Don't just put it under the dirt. Put it inside of some conduit, and that'll protect it. And then you could come up and do this. So you could have it in multiple areas throughout your yard. Now, the other two that I mounted on the house, and I faced them in two different directions towards my tool shed, or my tool building that I built. I don't know if you'd call that a shed. It's about 16 by 40. It's a pretty good sized building, but I faced it in two different directions there. I have the lights where they are going off as people are walking by. I did not set the siren right now. Okay, you are now in my little office area that I have in my construction zone. It's kind of a temporary area, but I have ran the cables. You can see them all coming up here. I've got the unit turned upside down so that you can kind of see what's going on. All four of your PoE cables are plugged in. Does not matter which one they go in. This cable on the top is my Cat 6, which is leading to my internet. And by the way, I have a splitter that I am using right here so that I can split that line coming in, or a switch, if you want to call it a switch. I have the power actually plugged in, and I have the mouse already set up. Matter of fact, the end of it is right here. So we're going to use that. Your power switch is there. Power is on. So what I'm going to do is we're fixing to go ahead and hit the power key, and I'm going to let you see how it powers up. Now, this is my big monitor underneath that I do all my video editing in, and up on top is where we have hooked this up. So there's nothing on right now because the power's off. So I'm going to walk you through the different steps of powering it on and actually going in and messing with the cameras. So let's do that. Here we're going to power on right now, and hopefully you can see this really well. So what it does is it powers on like that, and until you try to use the mouse, it's just going to have a black screen. So I'm going to get underneath the camera here a little where hopefully I don't block any of your view, and I'm clicking the mouse. There we go, and it is now powering up the HDMI, and we should start going live with our, here we go, there's the mouse itself, and we should be going live with the cameras here pretty quick. There it is. So they have actually worked. So this is the one showing the front door area to my tool shed. This is the one showing the side area and all the junk that's piled up that's fixing to be put on the house, and a little bit of the back fence. This one is the side fence. And by the way, guys, I know that side fence is terrible. That's fixing to come down and be replaced, and it'll look like the one I've got in the back. So if you look here, I've got that with my tool, little trailer opened with tools on the back, and we're going to see how the zoom works. This is the one that's actually on the storage building. And this is the one that is actually on the fence. It's on, you can see the storage building, and our other camera is up here, and it's showing the back fence itself and a pile of bricks that I've got laid up there and one of my trailers. So say we want to go ahead and look at the tools on the back of the trailer and zoom in. So what you're going to do is you click that one. It's going to ask you for your passcode. So you will enter that passcode, hit your return, and now you can actually do things. You'll click here, and you've got all of these functions. I can take a snapshot picture. I can record. I can actually do a playback and see the recordings, and I can do an electronic zoom. I have an alarm I can sound. I have the light alarm I can sound, and I have turn on preview on or off, and then we have settings. Now these two right here, we are going to control mainly through our settings, but you can do it automatic. If you see somebody out there, you can automatically turn on the alarm, or you can, with the sound or the light. Now, what I'm going to do is I want to zoom in. So we are going to hit that key, and it zooms it way in. And you'll see there's a picture over here now, and you can actually kind of move it around to wherever I want so I can see what's going on. So if I'm right there, I can kind of go real close actually on the back of my trailer. There, and we can, I mean, you can get pretty close there. It zooms in pretty good. Now, to get out of it, you actually hit your right key button, and it pulls you back out. So now let's say I want to see over here at the front of this one. There we go. You double click it, it's automatically going to take you to just that one in a big screen, and hit that. Now we have it open. I can do the same thing here. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little more, and let's move it here so we can see what's going on all through there. I can even see some of the other side of the building. When you're in this screen, you can actually come down and hit the arming key right here, and you can actually set up times that you want it to be recording or not recording, and you can have it looking for vehicles, people or pets, or any type of motion detection. So that's actually kind of a cool thing. So when you do polling, every so often it will actually switch from screen to screen like it's doing right now. All right, so let's go through some of the basics. So when you first start out, you're going to have the split screens like this. And there's a lot of different things that you can actually do. If you click on one of them it will actually take you into a single mode here. And there's a lot of different things. You'll right click and there's a lot of things you can open up and do here. You can switch in between. If you go to this one right here that says split screen and click it, you can split it depending on what you've got going on. If you have 4 cameras, if you have 8, if you have 9, it does that. So if I do 8, it's going to kind of show it in this pattern right now because I don't have the others. Now to stop, to go back to my normal split, I have to hit this stop. All right. From the basic split screen, there's a lot of functions that you can do here. You can go across the bottom and you can do playback, you can do start patrol. And when you do this start patrol, what it's going to do is it's going to rotate. So if you hit that right there, it's going to start changing in between. I'm going to make it a little larger and it'll play for a few minutes and then it's going to switch to the next one. And it's going to keep doing that and rotating. It's kind of like a patrol type deal so that if you're sitting there kind of watching over your screens and watching your monitor, you can see what's going on. Now, if I right click again, actually, I'm going to left click, open this back up, I can actually physically move in between the different screens. And then I can come over here where it says split screen. If I click it, it won't let me go back. I'm polling. So I have to go here and stop the patrol. If I stop it, now I can click again, and I can go to my 4, and I am back to my 4 screens again. Now, there's a ton of different things you can do in here, but this one is a real important one, which is going to be system settings. If you hit it when you're in the patrol, I'm on this one right now, camera 2. There's all kinds of things I can do here. Stream, display, audio, fill light. This one right here is a very important one, and this is your detection. So if I do detection, I can actually set this up to where it's going to be low, medium, or high. So media, then the middle is going to be more for humans, cars. High is going to pick up all the way to little animals and things that are running around. You can actually set up your detection areas. You can schedule settings, which will turn on and off certain things and sensitivities. And then this one is really cool because this is your warning light. I can turn off the lights or I can turn them on. Same thing with the alarm. Turn the alarm off, turn the alarm on. And now if you have these off, you can actually do it in the very front by manually doing it. So let me hit my other key, go back out. So if I'm in one, like this right here, I can go over here now and I can sound the alarm manually. That's what I meant by that. Or I can arm the lights manually so that, it will scare an intruder off. All right, I have been playing with it all day, checking it out, making sure I understand everything so that if there's anything I can point out to you guys that's going to make your life a little easier, I wanted to do that. First thing I wanted to point out is these little white pieces that they give you are actually for water protecting the actual connections that go to the camera. Also, you have the 3 lines that go to the camera. One of those is going to be an auxiliary power. Of course, the main one is going to be your main connection for your PoE. And you have a third one, which is a manual reset button. So that is what that is for. And it has a little cap to cover that so nothing can get inside of it. Now, when it comes to setting the system up, the hard drive with the Long Plus is super simple. I mean, super, super simple. But when it comes to setting it up with the web and the app, which are, by the way, 2 different things, it's a little more difficult. They're going to give you a little manual, and the manual gives you like a little single page in here on what you're supposed to do. Like here's web operation and then app. They're side by side. Now, I actually misplaced the book. I had everything piled up. Took me a little while to find the book, so I was trying to figure out how to scan, and I'm trying to scan all the QR codes, not able to get things to work right. I tried to go to the App Store, and they have all kinds of weird apps that are connected. There are names that are very similar to this. So That all being said, if you've got the book, the little QR code is right inside that you're going to need to actually use. Now, if you've misplaced the book, or say it's, months down the road or a year down the road and you're changing the system somewhere else, and for whatever reason you've got to reset, say you've moved and it's all new internet, and you don't remember where all these codes are, I will tell you there's a second place that you find the codes, and it's not on the box because you're liable to lose the box and be gone. It's actually inside the hard drive system. You will go inside of the Long Plus system, the hard drive, you'll hit the little gear icon and you go to information. When you pop it up, it's going to give you the QR codes that are they're already there, and you can scan them with your phone, download the app again. So if for whatever reason you have to reset everything, or give someone else the system and you get a different one or what have you, they're going to need to do that. And if you don't have this little book, it's going to make it difficult for them. So remember that. It will help you an awful lot. Now, before you can set up the app and make that actually work, you are going to have to set the system up to go onto the web. That's going to help you with the app. It's also going to help you with the cloud. Now, what you're going to do, if you go to the actual web part here, web operation, it's going to tell you that you have to enter your IP address. So you're going to do HTTP, little semicolon, // and your IP address. Well, you will find that in the little gear icon inside of the Long Plus hard drive again. Go to that gear, go into the information for network, and you're going to find your IPs. Now, you're going to see a whole list of them. The one that you want is the very first top one. I believe it is actually called PoE Gateway, but that's the one that you're going to want, the very first one. Enter that into your browser and hit enter, and it'll pull up the Long Plus system and it'll ask you to log in. Now, this is another tricky spot, because if you have already tried to set up your account through your app and you've entered one password there and then you did this one over here, it's easy to get those confused. And then you're also, well, I don't remember setting up an actual username. So is my username going to be my email? No, it's not your email. If you haven't changed it, it's going to be under admin. So you will just do admin and then whatever your password was when you set up the system originally, and that will log you in immediately. You go in and then you can actually see everything on a browser. And the cool thing about that is if you're at work, you can not only use the app, but you can use your computer at work and you can look and see what's going on. You can log in real quick. So it gives you a whole nother way to view what's going on. Now, once you have that set up, simply go back to your app and go through the setups, and it will actually allow you to connect. And it's going to ask you to scan the QR code. Now, at first it makes it look like it's going to be all the cameras. You don't need to do that. You just scan the QR code for the actual hard drive. That is your system. When you do that, you can go through and you can pick the different cameras and view everything. So that's a little lacking in the manual. That's probably the only thing that I found out of this entire system that was rough, was trying to actually decipher a little bit of that. And it's really not bad. It's just you have to do a little bit of thinking and figuring out, and there's multiple moving parts here. But once you get that figured out, it works fantastic. I cannot be happier with the picture, the way it's set up. I cannot wait to go and get the rest of my siding up all the way so I can permanently mount everything. And I like the fact I got to experiment and put a camera up on a building and on a fence, because I may go ahead and move these cameras around to different parts of the yard, and I think I'm going to bury some of that cable, and that way I can get way out into the corner of a yard and maybe pick up different angles. So guys, if I was going to rate this system on a scale of 1 to 5, I'd have to give it 5 stars. I think it's an amazing system. There is just a ton of things that this does. So if you're looking for a really good camera system, one that's expandable, hard drive wise and camera wise, I don't think you're going to go wrong with this system. Do yourself a favor, pick yourself up one today, and we'll see you guys on the next review.